Man, welcome to the Engaged Podcast. Blessed to be here with my compadres. How y'all doing, man? Ball, we'll go to you first.
Oh, doing great,
Man,
man.
welcome to
We
the
getting
Engaged
back into it.
Podcast. Blessed to be here with my compadres. I don't know what's
Who's
what's going on. The
who's
the
that?
Sigmas, they can't get right.
Oh wow, Doc. We gotta start off that way. No, but I'm doing well. It's getting back into it. I'm taking on a new challenge, moving up to the high school this school year.
Man,
So
congrats, man. Hey, hold up. Let me put the screen on you, man. Let's name this, man.
yeah,
This that black boy joy right here.
that's right. That's right.
Congratulations, sir. Tell these people where you're gonna be at.
So I'm moving to California High School, San Ramon, California. We are 3,000 strong student population. We're gonna do our thing this year. It's gonna be a lot of hard work. It's gonna be an exciting time, and I'm just super excited to be part of this community. I'm actually coming from one of the middle schools that feeds into the high school, so I've got the advantage. I know quite a few families and quite a few students, obviously. So it's going to be a fun ride. It's going to be a fun ride.
Well, congrats, black man. Hey, we was talking before. We was trying to figure out if we was naming this a promotion or not. It don't sound like no promotion.
Of course, it's a promotion. More opportunities to connect, man.
Like your own frat is not giving you credit, bro.
That's why I don't know how to feel about that. I mean,
it's all good. It's all it's enough hate to go around. Hey, so we got the Kansas City Middle School Principal of the Year. Excuse me as I get animated for this Sigma guy. Sir, talk to us, man.
What's good, man? I'm happy to be on, as you know, Kansas City. As for now, Kansas City, but come this fall, I'm about to make this run for the Missouri Middle School Principal of the Year, and then we're going nationwide with it. So we're gonna see what happens with that. I'm putting my package together. So we about to be nationwide out here. So, but I'm happy to be on. We've been back at work now for a week. Last Wednesday was our first day back. So vacation life is over, but vacation life was good, as I got to travel, do a little traveling around the country. So what's good so let's talk real quick though, like yes, we're gonna do this because we need to let the people know why we got a new cast member on the Engaged podcast. So let's go ahead and let the people know so we can get that out the way.
Yeah. So folks, I've always been the super producer with regards to the Engaged podcast. I've always been behind the scenes with the production and all of those things. I'm now at the forefront as a cast member because we lost a cast member, right? We didn't lose them as in lose them, lost them as in the person is no longer a member of the cast. And with any school related decisions or whatever, we don't talk about stuff until we get it clear from HR, right? And this ain't been clear from HR, so we ain't talk about it. Just know that I'm the new cast member here, and we in the building, right? And so let's get down to business, man. That's where we at. Is that good enough? Did that take care of it?
Yeah, we'll let it ride with that until HR clears it.
You got
it. HR got to clear it, man. You can't be just out here talking all willy-nilly, man. So first thing we talking about tonight, man, we talking about imposter syndrome, right? And so Ball, we'll start with you because I've seen you on your socials, name it, right? And so if you could just give us a quick definition of it and how you fight against it.
Yeah, so imposter syndrome is something that I think is just common to humans. The fact that we get these opportunities and we get in positions and we feel like we're not equipped. Who am I to be in this position? Who am I to be leading? Who am I for be listening to me? And it's real. I mean, it's it could be a mental health challenge, social emotional challenge. And it's so easy to just get overwhelmed by, the responsibilities that we have. And, whether it's family, whether it's work, whatever the case, when people are looking to you for answers, you kind of get this feeling like I'm not the one, I shouldn't be doing this. And you start to doubt yourself. And that can have a huge impact. I think all of us deal with it. All of us deal with it in certain ways. I mean, I felt it. I'm feeling it now. Stepping up to the high school, going from a staff of about 48 teachers, 30 certificated staff, now in a little over 1,000 students to now a campus of 140, 150 staff plus, and then, over 3,000 students. Am I ready for this? Do I have all the tools? Did I spend enough time at the middle school? Do I know everything? I don't. And I think that's one of the first steps to combating it, and just realizing, hey, I've been put in this position. We've all been put in these positions for a reason, and we're not here alone. Part of the greatness of this podcast and be a part of this family is the fact that, we're not doing this alone. We've got the opportunity to share our experiences with you, our viewers, share the experiences as cast members, as educational leaders. And you got to lean into the folks that you work with, and just share and communicate, because we're going through all the same types of feelings, and it's not doing us any good to hold on to it and just let it debilitate us and hold us back from, the greatness that we can accomplish. And again, we're not doing any of this on our own. We got to lean into each other to combat it.
Yeah. Hey, listen. Hey, with me now being here and like being the host and stuff, man, I'm about to start cutting some of these answers short because y'all long-winded, man, and like we're not about to do this, man. Like we're not your cadets, man. We're not about to be sitting here listening. Nah, that's some good stuff, man.
I see. You always got the jokes. I appreciate that.
Hey, so and I'm on here. And let's name this too, man. Both of y'all have had experience in the armed services, right? And so, and I know that plays a role in y'all's leadership, and I would love to talk about that at some point in terms of like how that has impacted your approaches to leadership, right? But imposter syndrome, Dr. Smith.
So in a chance not to be long-winded, we'll keep this real short. So I feel like for me with imposter syndrome, it's easy to fall into because we don't have a lot of Black men that we have that went before us that we can look to and know that they showed up in that space as them original selves. So as we're doing it, it's almost like we're learning on the job. It's almost on the job training. OJT is when can I show up as my authentic self? And I think sometimes when we show up as our authentic self, we shut people off because of the way that we present ourselves. And I just had this conversation with somebody recently, is we can show up with the same amount of knowledge, wisdom, know all that. And for the fact that we are Black men, we get labeled as arrogant or pushy or whatever. Whereas a white man or a white woman show up with that same knowledge and they kind of get accepted for that. So I think we walk that fine line of how do we know when to push and when to kind of pull back. And until you've been able to establish yourself as that leader, and then you get to that point where like, look, my record speaks for itself. So I'm gonna show up as I am no matter what,
Yeah. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate you naming that. And so, yeah, imposter syndrome, man, it's real, right? Like there have been times in my career to where I'm like, dang, man, do I belong here? Like, is this the room for me, right? That was earlier. Now, I'm kicking in doors, man, And so it no longer exists. So I think that the more you're into the work, the better equipped you are in terms of like showing up as your authentic self. So like as you get some skin in the game, or whatever, like that confidence comes from within, right? And so once that confidence comes to you, it's like that you're supposed to be in the space, that you're supposed to be making decisions because your decisions are rooted in the best interest of students, man. And so I appreciate you guys pulling us through that segment.
Like you said though, is that just real quick, is being a new leader, and I know Ball kind of went through that too, and he kind of talked about this, you have to establish that credibility with your staff and with the people that follow you. Once you establish that credibility, I think the more credibility you have, the more you can show up as your authentic self because the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, so listen, but that kind of, that's a segue, right? And so like, folks need to believe in who you are as a leader, right? If they don't believe in who you are as a leader, then it's gonna be hard for you to show up as your authentic self because to them it's like you're a bozo, you haven't done anything yet, right? Like you're a clown, right? And so, I feel like as leaders, if I'm giving any advice to a new school leader, so a newly fermented school leader, my first advice to them, and you guys can give them a piece of advice as well, free PD, is to roll your sleeves up and never ask anybody to do anything that you wouldn't do yourself, right? Roll your sleeves up and do not ask anybody to do anything that you wouldn't do yourself would be the first piece of advice that I would give a new school leader. Smitty, kicking it to you. What advice you got for new school leaders?
So my advice is, before I get to my advice, I got to shout out B-Dub in the comments, my assistant principal out there.
Let's go. Let's go.
My left hand. So shout out to her. My advice, and I wholeheartedly believe in this, is something that I read the summer before I took over as principal at Grandview Middle School, is there's two type of leaders. There's what I call lifeguard leaders, and there's swimmers. That lifeguard leader is that leader that stands on the sideline and coaches and tells the teachers what they should and shouldn't be doing. And that swimmer leader is the one that's willing to get down in the water and show them how to do a breaststroke, backstroke. And that's the kind of leader that I want to be. I want to be in the water with my teachers. And like you said, one thing I told my staff when I took over, that first time I had my staff meeting, was I will never ask you to do something if I first don't show you how to do it first. Yeah, so I fully wholeheartedly believe in that. Like, I'm not going to ask you to incorporate a reading program unless we're giving you the right PD. If I can't come in and model a lesson for you in that there. So I think as a new leader, that's where you have to first know your vision and how you're going to get there, and then be able to get in the water and get down and dirty. Like you said, roll your sleeves up with your staff and make it happen.
Yeah. Ball, come to you, and then we're going to touch on something Dr. Smith said.
Okay. Yeah. So I would say one of my first pieces of advice is come in with your ears open and your mouth shut initially. I think it's really important to listen to your people, whether it's your staff, whether it's your families, whether it's your students especially. We just went through some PD today, and we had a student panel, and they were saying some powerful stuff. Yes. And I loved it. And a lot of the things, again, coming into a new building, I've had the benefit of being present in the district and hearing a lot of things that have gone on, but just hearing from the students and them solidifying some of the things that other people perceive us as, it's a great opportunity. So listen when you're gathering that data so that you can take those action steps necessary initially.
Yeah. So to piggyback on that, man, like, I feel like you're the only qualified observer that's in your classroom, even when principals come into your classroom. It's no disrespect towards principals. This is no disrespect towards anybody that comes in that thinks that they're a qualified observer. But the only qualified observer in your classroom is those students. So if you want some real deliverable feedback, right? Some feedback that you can act on immediately, ask those students what they're being taught, how they're being taught, do they like how they're being taught, what things you could do better as a teacher or even as a leader, right? Because like we kind of hone in and focus on feedback from the teacher level, right? But as school leaders, as system leaders, we can also get feedback from our students as well to figure out what we're doing and what we're not doing in order to, to make adjustments or to make things more accessible for them. Like, I have students coming to me all the time. They got a beeline to my office like, hey, Ankrum, I don't really like this. Like, I don't like this food. I'm a vegan. Like, what can we do for me? Like, but like, you have to make yourself, you have to be out and about in order for folks to be able to come to you and be able to suggest changes to you, right? And so, yeah, thank you guys for naming that. But Smitty, you touched on something, man. I forgot what it was. It was something in regards to instructional leadership. I feel like it was something with regards to instructional leadership. I'll come back to
model. Was it modeling a lesson?
Yes, that's what it was. That was the trigger. So, Smitty, talk a little bit about like what it looks like for a school leader to be more than just a principal, to be an instructional leader, and like having those skills to be able to model lessons for teachers.
So I'll give you a real quick example. It's something that we're going to dive back into the school year that I'm super excited about, that I think really has started to transform my building. We do this program called academic teaming, and it's all about increasing student discourse and basically putting the onus on students to take care of their, take hold of their own ownership in their learning. So in the beginning of the school year, when we rolled it out, we had an organization that we contracted with that came out and did PD. And as we started to do walkthroughs, we really didn't see it being utilized in the way that we felt was at the fidelity level that we wanted it to be. So what I did was I came back and did my own PD. And the way we did the PD was I set it up like I was the teacher and they were my students. And we actually had them were going through it as they were the students experiencing using the academic teaming model. And we did it in a non-academic way first. So they got used to what the roles were, what the procedures and processes were in a non-academic role. Then we wrote it into an academic model, and we did a science model. We did a social studies example. We did a math example. And after we did that for teachers, within a couple of weeks, when we started to go back into classrooms, we started to see it implemented in a way. So I think a lot of times when we give PD, we give the teachers the information, but we never let them experience what it looks like from a student angle. So that's what I mean with that instructional leadership piece is sometimes you have to put your teachers or your staff in the role of the student and let them experience what that strategy looks like and feels like and sounds like, so that then they can duplicate it with their students once they walk into the classroom. That's what I mean by that instructional leadership, and really, like I said, giving teachers the tools and giving them a chance to really digest the tools that you're giving them before they actually put it in front of students.
Love that, man. Thanks for naming that. Hey, folks, if you're listening to us right now, I see you in the comments. We'll get to the comments in a second. Make sure you are liking this. Make sure you are sharing this. Make sure you're doing everything you need to do in order to keep this PD free. Because, you know, if we put a price on it, I already know that price is gonna look like that price.
The price done went up.
The price going up. You got middle school principal of the year right here. You got a blue ribbon principal down there, man. Well, soon to be. Yeah.
And, we just gonna have to speak it. We calling it as it is.
Go speak that into existence. But hey, listen, price goes up, you know. So hey, so next topic, man. We're gonna talk about pre-service for teachers, right? And so I guess you know this came up on a podcast on my 3 Times Dope podcast, right? And so you know, I'm gonna take myself back to how it was to be a teacher, right? And so like you know, after the first year of teaching. And after me coming to a level of understanding of what it took in order for me to be an effective teacher in the classroom, I totally incorporated the summer into my planning in terms of becoming the teacher that I wanted to be. And so now one of my mantras is you win the championships during the summer months, right? And so there's some folks that like, you know, they come into teaching, they come into the profession, and they're like, hey, we get summers off. Like, I'm not doing anything during the summer. I'm not doing anything. You know, if you want me to do something, pay me or whatever, right? So, but you don't, you say this stuff, but you don't realize the more work that you put in during the summer months, or the more work that you put into yourself or put into like become better at your craft, the less work that you have to do overall, right? So like if I'm going to professional development and I'm investing in like how to manage my class, how to motivate my students, how to push my students to the next level, and I'm learning all these things during the summer, then when I get there in August, September, I got my feet on the ground. I already know what I'm doing, right? As opposed to taking 2 months in order to get acclimated and do all these things or whatever, right? And so like the amount of progress that you can make for students, which every decision should be rooted in what you can do for students, right? It kind of takes a back seat. What are y'all's thoughts on pre-service teaching?
So let me jump in, because that's something that you said that really resonated with me when you said that you win the championship in the summer or the off season. And I don't know if anybody remember this commercial, but back when Emmitt Smith played for the Cowboys, that they won their first championship, there was this commercial. I forget what the brand was, but you know, it's Emmitt Smith. He's in the weight room and he's like, you know, he's bench pressing and he's talking about, you know, won the rushing title, won the Super Bowl. You know, maybe I can rest. And he like holds the bar for like 2 seconds, like, all right, now back to work. You know, basically when you making those strides, and I mean, we made some great gains in the classroom last year, but now you got to put in even more work. You can't do what you did last year, expect to make the same amount of gains. So if you didn't do work during the summer and you made, say, 20% gains, just imagine if you did that work in the summer, you could make 40% gains with your students. You know, summertime is the perfect time for teachers to be going to conferences, getting new PD, you know, reading, doing all the book studies and things like that there. So if you're really trying to move your school forward, you as the principal should be helping dictate to your staff, hey, here's what I need you to be doing during the summer. I want you to get a break. I want you to go on vacation, but I want you to take a little bit of time to actually, you know, read some new books, you know, learn a new strategy, do some new technique. You know, I took my AP and some of my teachers down to Orlando to a conference this summer because, like I said, you know, you win that championship in the off season. You got to put in that work in the off season. You can't wait till training camp. You can't wait till, you know, preseason to do that work because then you behind the 8 ball. You too late.
Absolutely. 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 I don't know anybody, Ball, I'll get to you in a second. Just want to make this point. I don't know anybody that has ever won a championship in any kind of sport, right? That started during the preseason, right? That started playing ball during the preseason. Like, you ain't no way you doing that, right? Ball, jump in here, bro.
Speaking of that, I don't know if y'all football fans, but weren't they talking about that with Leonard Fournette about him showing up to training camp and like anyway?
Hey, so touchdown Lenny.
You a Louisiana boy.
Yeah, for folks that don't know, touchdown Lenny, he's a running back for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, formerly of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and so he came into training camp about 30 pounds. He came into training camp looking like Zion, and so. All right, back to you, Bo.
I think y'all are hitting on such an important point. The fact that we've got to model that. I think when our people see that, it's really interesting, that mindset that some folks have. Like, I'm a good teacher. I've been doing this for X amount of years, and I can just kind of fall back on what I've done in the past. But that's not going to get you the movement, and that's not going to get our students the movement that they need. That we need dynamic teachers in the classroom, and you can't just show up on day one or that first week of professional development and expect to make all the gains that are necessary. And so you got to invest in yourself. And I think one of the things that could be a completely different podcast is that rub with the union, and respecting that time and setting the different expectations in the summer for your staff. But I think it's really important that if our folks aren't doing it on their own, that we have a tight and solid plan coming in when we do have those opportunities for professional development at the beginning of the school year and throughout the school year.
Bro, listen, let me tell you something, right? We say it all the time. We have these conversations about our students and the difference between extrinsic motivation and intrinsic motivation, right? And so, regardless of whatever union factors may exist, right? Intrinsically, you should want to be better for your students. And if you want to be better for your students, there are certain things that you need to do during the off season in order to make yourself better for your students. Like I have teachers that will come to me and be like, "Hey, I read this over the summer. I did this over the summer. I went to this professional development over the summer." Right. And although, it's not equal across the board in terms of like what other people are doing better, you can see the folks that made that commitment to do things over the summer have a competitive advantage over those that didn't. Right. And so what kills it for me, what makes it a little complex for me, is that those folks are still making the same amount as the folks that didn't put in the work. Right. And so we're talking about unions. Let's really talk about it, not in this episode, but for the folks that are putting in the work, for the folks that are receiving the kids from other classes that are still getting the same amount of pay as they're getting. That's the problem that I have with certain union.
And once again, I want to give that real life, like I said, that real life example. So we talked about the academic teaming that we started last school year at my building. So two of my teachers knew we were going to that last school year. So last summer, they themselves went to a PD and kind of got the foundation. They went out and purchased the kits. So when we actually rolled into the school year and started using it, it was night and day when you went into their classrooms compared to the other teachers' classrooms. I mean, to the point where we were having teachers go into their rooms to watch them use the strategy and the technique, of academic teaming. So the investment pays off in the end, but it's all about who's willing to make that investment. But I also think, though, like Boss said, not everybody's going to make that investment. Not everybody's going to take that time. So as leaders, what are we doing to try to help those people like Leonard Fournette who show up, get him back on pace once he does get the training camp? Because not everybody's going to make that commitment that you want them to make. So we got to have a plan to kind of speed up the process of learning when we do get them back under contract, so we can't got to argue with the union.
Bro, but listen, man, back to Fournette though, man. You listen. So it's as a professional athlete, you have to be committed to your body, right? Especially if you know that you got to show up a certain way. Running backs get long in the tooth, and I don't want to take too much time on this, right? But so if you're eating gumbo, baby, you can't have that cornbread, right? Like, I don't know. That's just me. Yeah. All right. So but pre-service for teachers, boy, did you say you're part on pre-service for teachers?
Yeah, I was just saying that, if your folks aren't investing that time, I mean, they may be doing it in the summer, but you got to have a tight plan for when you come the beginning of the school year. Again, I think one of the things that's really important, and going back to the PD that we had with the students in the student panel, was one of my biggest takeaways was that our students want to feel seen and heard, and they want teachers that are going to share some of themselves. They want teachers that are human, that humanize themselves and humanize the students. So I think, hearing that from students is really helping me figure out, okay, this is some of the things that we need to do when I get teachers back on campus. And this is how my preseason PD is going to be structured. What activities can I model, or can we model as an admin team and for our staff to create, to show ourselves as human to them so that they can do the same with students when they come in on day one.
Yeah.
The other thing I'm gonna throw out there, Bob.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because he talked about that PD plan and what the admin team can do. And we just had our instructional leadership team meeting today and planned out our back to school PD. And we have to do some refresher on academic teaming one-on-one, just kind of get people back in acclimated. Is we gonna have teachers do that PD? Like my thing this year is how do I build leadership capacity in my teachers? The more I can put teachers in front of teachers doing the work, I feel like it's going to empower the staff to have more buy-in. So that's the one thing that we're really focusing on this school year is how, when at every chance we can to put a teacher in front of the staff to do PD instead of us, we're going to take advantage of it.
Yeah, that's dope. Let me get the screen. For those of you that are listening to this, that is some excellent advice coming from Dr. Smith, the middle school principal of the year, coming out of Kansas City, Grandview Middle School. But hey, let me tell you something. Let me tell you a little secret. Not every teacher can do PD. Not every teacher is good enough to be doing PD for your staff. So know who you are, who you have on your staff. So you ain't putting everybody in front of people because not everybody can make that adjustment. Just keeping it real for y'all. All right. So, sir. Oh, so here's what I wanted to say, right? So being a systems leader, I'm no longer a principal. So therefore, principals report to me. And so what I'm going to do this year differently than what I've done last year is that I love that whole harnessing of your why statement, right? And so what I'm going to have school leaders do when they report on Monday is to go through their why statements, refine it, right? And then make it an elevator pitch so that they can then transcend that information to their teachers, because kids want to know your why, right? Before kids are going to work for you wholeheartedly, they want to know why you decided to be their teacher. They want to have a piece of you in order for them to make decisions on if they're going to learn from you, if they're not going to learn from you, right? And I know that, there's a lot of folks that are like, well, they don't pay me enough to like students, or they don't pay me this, that, and the fourth in order to build relationships with students. Well, if you don't have relationships with students, I don't want you at my school, and I don't want you teaching my kid. So I don't know how y'all feel about that. How y'all feel about relationships in these schools?
That is so crucial. We're as the school year is coming up, we're trying to fill these vacancies, and I think we as educators, teachers, administrators are our own best recruiters. If we're creating an environment where these kids feel seen and heard, because I'm thinking about my why. Like I had teachers that invested in me. I had coaches that were like, what are you into? Like, how do I get the best out of you, and really push me and challenge me? And if we're not up to that challenge, maybe we shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
But we're creating that environment. We're creating that next generation, and because you never know. You never know which kid is going to be that one that's going to, 20 years down the line is going to be like, man, Doc Smith, he was the man. And so now I got my own class.
No kid
I got
ever
my
gonna
own
say
school.
no Sigma was the man.
Hey, hypothetical, bro.
Hey, listen. Hey, Bob, we not gonna double team you on here, man. Like, we not gonna do that.
Hey, we ain't got to worry about it. We don't know no Q's as principals of the year, so
Hey, you're wrong. You're wrong. I'm the principal of the decade. Hey. Hey, so folks, if you're in this audience, man, and you like what you're hearing, please make sure you're liking. Please make sure that you're sharing. And if you have somebody to pitch to us to be a new cast member that is a Greek affiliated person, right? We not, besides iotas, we're not dealing with them, right? I don't know very many of them anyway, but we're not dealing with iotas, right?
We don't want none of the 10 of them.
Possibly an iota sweetheart, because they pledge harder than an iota.
Wow.
Right. So
hey, if we can get an AK or Delta or a Zeta on here, that would be dope.
That would be really dope. And I would be open to it, and I would move right back behind the scenes, and I could be great again.
Because that would bring a whole different perspective.
Yeah, it would. All right. So
preferably somebody from the South.
The Soul Wars from the South.
But let me talk real quick about relationships, and I'm not gonna be long-winded because you don't like us to be long-winded. I'm gonna say two things about the relationship piece. One is, the awesome Rita Pearson said, students ain't gonna learn from people they don't like, pretty much plain and simple. And then at my building, everybody tell you our number one priority is relationships. Everything we do starts with a foundational relationship. So
foundational relationships. I love that. Sherry Lucas Hall, I see you in the building. We're gonna do a reading episode, and we're gonna bring you up on here so you can teach these folks about the science of reading and all the other things that may work in order to motivate kids to become better readers. So appreciate you. Miss Redmond, I see you in the building. Thank you for coming to kick it with us. We appreciate you. As always, we're going to keep this PG-13. We know you don't like when we curse. All right. Miss Richardson, I think you got shouted out earlier. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate it. Let's see. Oh, we got an AP from Tinley formerly from Tinley. I don't know the name of the new school. In the building, but hey, Tinley is in our hearts. We will be at what's the joint called?
Trailblazers, baby. Trailblazers.
We'll be at Trailblazers 2022. Metcalf, hit your boys up so we can get there. Let's do it. What else we got? Who else we got in here? Miss Osaji. I don't want to pronounce your name wrong, so if you put it in the chat and I pronounce it wrong, I'll get it back. Nancy, how you doing? Thanks for pulling up. We appreciate you. Hey. Free PD. Who else we got in here? Mr. Jones. Yeah. Timmy, thanks for pulling up, man. Arcadia Parish. Hey, I'm from St. Tammany Parish, so you already know we're in the building, baby. All right. So next topic. You know, we got to shout people out for coming to spend time with us for this free PD, even though it's free. I'm thinking about putting a price on it. All right. So day in the life of a school leader, man. So like talk to me about what it is like to, because like most people don't know, right? And so you can't be what you can't see, right? And so like, what does it feel like and what does it look like a day in the life of a school leader? Smitty, we'll start with you.
That is probably one of the most hardest questions. I mean, there's no 2 days that look alike. The one thing I have learned about being a school leader is don't have nothing planned, because whatever plans you got is going to go by the wayside. But the one thing I do make sure I do every single day is to at least to get into 2 or 3 classrooms to see instruction happening and make sure I spend time with students, whether it be in the cafeteria, in the hallway. And the main thing, and this is something that I take to heart as a school leader, is you have to make sure you're visible. I remember, as a student, also as a teacher, there was times I would never see an administrator for like weeks on end. So that's one thing as I became a school leader that I really took the hardest, to make sure I'm always visible, whether it be during passing period. Even like I said, it don't have to be a formal observation. I'm just stopping in the classroom for 5 or 10 minutes just to kind of see students learning. I ain't there to look at the teacher. I ain't there to critique. I'm just really there to see students learning and everything like that. So that's the big thing, is being visible, making sure you're there for students. But there's no 2 days that's ever alike. Like I said, I really can't. The day in the life is, we should actually film a day of us and then chop it up and just put it out there for people.
Facts. Hey, listen.
Get some GoPros.
Listen, ain't nothing like GoPros, baby. All the GoPro systems leader. Hey, so one of the things that you just spoke about, right, that resonated for me is that man, it's like no 2 days are alike. So one day you're doing this, one day you're doing that. Well, what you should never be doing is behind your desk answering them emails, right? Because you can do that in the evening. Right. The folks need to see you. You need to be visible. You need to be visible. Folks need to see you. Especially if you're a school leader, right? Like folks need to be seeing you. You need to be so. But as when I was a principal, sometimes I would go into classrooms in order to have peace. Right. So like I would go into a really good lesson and I would just sit there and they'd be like, do you have any feedback for me? I'm like, no, I have no feedback for you. I wasn't here for you. I was here for me. So it was like an orchestra in terms of like how the class, like just how it operated. Right. And so it would just give me peace. So I would be able to go in and like be able to do work while being in the classroom while a teacher was teaching, right? And so like that's always amazing to name. Ball, what's up with you, man?
Yeah, I would say, part of my routine has always been to be out front during drop off in the morning. No, I think, I think that gives, families that level of comfort, like, okay, this dude is here for us, that I see him. And that, I think that it pays off in a bunch of different ways. Just like you said, Smitty, being visible is crucial. And, I think kind of after that, it's up in the air. There's meetings that you have to attend and things like that. I mean, whether it's a meeting with your admin team or, you've got an IEP meeting that you've got to attend. I would say, that getting in the classrooms is really important. I think, it's crucial that you take the opportunity to get to know your staff and just check in with them. So, I look at the master schedule like, okay, second period, who's got a prep? Let me go see if I can track them down and just chat it up with, no agenda, and just check in. I think, again, when your people feel heard, you take those opportunities. And obviously, during the passing periods and lunchtime that you're engaging with students, I think, I think to Dr. Hemphill, when we had her on a couple years ago in that 1 minute meeting, there you go. It's in my backpack. But just asking those questions, getting that feedback. So like, hey, if there's things we need to address, change, like, I'm getting it straight from the kids that are impacted.
Yeah. So
another thing, real quick.
Yeah.
2 seconds is having your administrative assistant team, because they are not just the gatekeepers to your school, they are the gatekeepers to your time. So making sure that they know that you aren't getting bogged down by being in your office on phone calls and things like that there. So having a bomb admin assistant team, I think, is very vital to your day being productive as well.
Well, aren't you in good hands, being able to have an admin assistant team, right? Like, I don't even have a person, and you sitting here talking about you got a whole team.
All 4 of them. Shout out to all 4 of them.
I don't have one. You got a whole team. So shout out to you. So one of the things that I did when I was school leader is that the first couple of weeks, the staff, because we weren't unionized in this particular charter school that I was in, we would have this thing called workout every day, right? And so basically what workout was, it was a way for us to work out the kinks of things that occurred during the day so that we could address it, name it, put it in the room, and then come up with a plan in order to how to address it the next day so that it would be better. We called it workout. So like, for example, if things weren't running smoothly at a particular point in the day, somebody would name it during a meeting, and then we would come up with ways and how to address it, right? So everything wouldn't get addressed in that one particular session. We hold the session maybe like 30, 45 minutes. But by the end of the 2 weeks, we were able to accomplish a whole lot of things in the next 2 weeks and so on were a lot more smoother because we put in that time in the beginning of the year as opposed to just letting those things build up. So again, thank you for allowing me that. What do we got next here? Oh, yes. All right. Oh, wait. I had a story. It's not long-winded, though. It's really quick. It feeds on Dr. Smith. And so, yes, even as the superintendent, I do traffic in the morning. I have some folks that are from the Riverhead Charter School that are streaming live because I'm streaming live to our Facebook page. So if I'm lying, they can tell you that I'm lying, but I don't lie. Anyway, so in the morning, we meet the cars, right? And then also because we have like every parent wants to drop their kid off and buses are pretty much empty these days because parents want to, pick up and drop off their kids, which I totally understand, but wish they would put their kids on the bus. So we would talk to parents during traffic. So having those touch points in which you're able to communicate with parents to where they're seeing you, being able to express you and like express their needs and desires to you and whatnot is extremely important. Plus, all my parents know that I'm accessible. Like you can find me, if I'm not at 2 a.m. on that Facebook page answering and responding to things or whatever, like I'm or from a class dojo, like just making myself accessible in order to be the people's leader and not necessarily just a school leader or a systems leader. So thanks for allowing that space for that. All right, so we gotta, there's certain things that you gotta do at the beginning of the year, man, and it's grunt work. It's real dirty. So the importance of setting the tone for students and families, man, there's certain things that you got to do. And so, Ball, if you could just work us through maybe like 3 to 5 things that you do at the beginning of the year to set the tone for students and families. Free PD, y'all. If you're listening, make sure you're sharing, you're liking, doing what we got to do here. All right.
Please like and share, getting those comments, people. To start off the school year again, and coming into a new school, I just sent out a communication to my to my community, and I put in there really my 90-day entry plan, and all 3 goals that I have are all tied together, and it's about creating the school that we want to have. So the my first point is making sure that I am intentional and that we as an admin team are intentional about uh, uh, getting to know and getting feedback from our entire school community, staff, parents, students, so that we can figure out what are the things that we value, what are the things that we do well, what are the areas that we need to improve. So just gathering that data, also looking at the hard data, the standardized test scores, and all those other things that we have from the past. So that's number one. I think number two is establishing good communication. So being consistent myself. This is when I'm going to communicate to you, whether it's Friday or whatever the day is and what the medium is. For families, it's going to be, an email, or we'll send out a text blast. But, we're also looking at incorporating social media, and the social media component also kind of ties into my third goal, which is for us to celebrate all the good things that are happening on our campus. That celebration component is, I think, one of the reasons why I'm here is to help us tell our story versus other people dictating what our story is. So, utilize social media for that, but, also, staff meetings, morning announcements, the extracurricular activities, every space that we can get into to just celebrate and figuring out how people want to be celebrated, because not everyone wants that blast in the morning announcements or the call out in the staff meeting. So again, everything that we're doing about trying to establish our culture, is around those things, gathering the information to figure out, what do we value and how do we take the steps that we need to support everyone here.
Yes, sir. Thank you for that. Dr. Smith.
Before I jump in, let me shout out Miss Gillespie in the comments. My new 8th grade ELA teacher coming to Grandview Middle School from Baltimore, Maryland. Shout out to her.
Hey Gillespie, if you in here, where were you originally in Baltimore City? What school did you work at? I don't want nobody exposing no HR stuff in here. We start this off making sure that we HR compliant on this podcast, baby. HR compliant. So Miss Gillespie, what school were you at? I started off at Lake Clifton, and then I went over to Chickwapin Middle School, and then went over to Northeast Middle School. So tell me where you from. I probably, we might know each other. We know the same.
I got those Be More ties as well. Sorry, Doc. I got those Be More ties as well.
Go ahead. Shout out your Be More ties. Go ahead.
North Bend Elementary Middle is where I started off when I was
like, yeah, because you would start out in Baltimore too. That's right.
Oh wow, yeah. I didn't even know that.
Yep.
Look at that. Look at the cues.
Yep. Hey, once again, before I jump in, I want to say real quick, AKA Delta Zeta, if you were Black female school leader, please drop us a line so we can audition you to be on the show, so we can put Ray back in the producer in the back. So a couple of things for me to kind of really set the tone. So this is my chance for free promotion. August 6th, we do our back to school barbecue bash. We're super excited about doing that. Last year was the first year we did it. We had about 300 people out there. We're shooting for 600 this school year. So the back to school bash really is a chance for our families to come up to the school. And this year, I'm not just doing it with my school, I'm doing it with all my feeder elementaries as well, to come up to the school, meet the teachers, administrators. We barbecue a hamburger and hot dogs. We also are doing, a lot of enrollment. We're doing book bag giveaways. One of our school has uniforms. So they're giving away free uniforms. We'll have our Grandview Assistance Program there. PTSA will be there. So really just a chance to kind of really come out, have a good time. It's really a kind of a family reunion type of event. So August 6th, 12 to 2, Grandview Middle School, spread the word. So that's the first thing we always do to kind of kick off the school year. And then for the second thing to follow that up is our back to school night that we do, which will be August 18th this year. And then for my staff, the big thing with my staff is to set the tone is, and I started this my very first year, and I continue it throughout the years, is I always have a children's book that I read that really kind of drives home the theme for that school year. And I don't want to give away the theme, right now. So on our next episode, I'll kind of tell you what it was. But basically, we got a book that we're going to read that's going to set the tone on what our theme is for the year. And then they got 2 gifts that they're going to get that's going to kind of cement that there. We'll talk about, the progress we've made over the last few years, and then kind of really set the tone on, like, here's what the expectations are, because if we don't understand what the goal is, it's going to be very hard for our kids to really achieve those goals. So really giving them a chance. And then the other thing that this year that I'm going to do for my staff, so they're listening, this is kind of a preview, is I'm trying to provide them more time in their classroom to get ready for the school year. A lot of time we fill up their time in those first few days back with PD and all that there. So I'm really trying to minimize that time we are together and give them more time in their classroom to get ready for the school year. You know, so that we're not bogging down in their entire week with just professional development and meeting after meeting after meeting. You know, treat them like true professionals. For example, like the staff handbook. You know, we're gonna hit some highlights, and then as a professional, I expect you to go read the rest. Or if you got questions, you can always go to it and find it out when you have that question that tips up. We don't need to sit there and go through the whole entire damn staff handbook like we kindergartners.
Hey, don't be saying that D word, man. You know you got Vicky Redmond out there, man.
My fault, Vicky.
Miss Redmond in the building. All right. Nah, man. If I need to curse, I'm letting it fly. There's research that supports that people that use profanity in abundance are actually smarter. And I'll put the link next show. But yeah, if you curse, you said you want to see that?
Yeah, I need to see that.
There's research.
That's right, because he don't curse. But there's absolutely research that supports that.
Believe that shit. Hey, Miss Gillespie just dropped her school in the comments.
Oh, did she? All right, cool. Let's get to these comments. We got a couple more. Oh, Lombard. Oh, yeah, we used to beat. Yo, listen, let me tell you some stories about Lombard. Lombard. Man, we used to beat the hell out of Lombard in basketball. I had my kids coming down, crossing them over, taking them to the hoop. Man, listen, and they had the same basketball coach forever, right? So like he know who Ankrum is, baby. We win city championships in Baltimore. He know. We out here, baby. All right. So what we at?
Hey, shout to my man Kenny Khan in the comments.
Yeah, I see him in here heavy. Shout out Kenny. And my uncle. Wait, Uncle Jeff is in the comments. Look at Uncle Jeff in the building. Appreciate you, sir, for coming through. All right.
Go ahead, put that last comment up there. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
there you
we
go.
definitely got a shout. Yeah. Hey, listen. So sometimes, right, when you're doing your staffing during the year or whatever, right, you'll get like we'll call them a free agent acquisition, right? Somebody that like moves into the area, or somebody that's coming from like another charter school because they don't want to do whatever, right? And like that free agent acquisition is going to come into your building and it's going to change the game in terms of like the things that they're able to bring into your school building, right? And it could be a teacher, it could be a leader, it could be an admin assistant. Man, a funny story, well, not even a funny story, but like person that changed the game for us is Miss Arlene. Like Miss Arlene is a member of the Latinx community, and my school is about 70% Latino at current. And man, Miss Arlene came in and changed the game for us. You hear me? Man, and like, you know, besides her letting people get to me that I don't want to get to me, everything else is good. But yo, do y'all have any game changers that y'all hired this year?
Well, this year coming up, we don't know because we got to see what they're gonna do. But my rock star hired last school year, 2 of them. One, my assistant principal, Bridget Williams. I mean, you know, changed the game. But then also my instructional coach, Ms. Schaefer, who came from the high school, came down to be my instructional coach, who really, when it came to ELA, really like knew the lever to pull to take our ELA instruction to the next level. And not only that, but really pushing literacy into our social studies and science class and making sure that they was hitting upon those reading comprehension strategies and skills. She worked also real closely with our reading interventionist. And shout out to my reading interventionist, Ms. Reese, who 50% of the kids that she worked with were 3 grade levels or more below. By the time of the school year, 50% of our kids were reading on grade level. So shout out to her for all the great work she did. So I'm excited. But yeah, so Miss Williams, my assistant principal, Miss Schaefer, my instructional coach, were my 2 rock star hires from the last school year.
Appreciate you naming that, man. Sir?
You know, it's interesting. I was thinking about one of the teachers that we hired last teacher, Mr. Jordan. He came in filling in. The teacher that he replaced was a teacher of the year. She was amazing, huge shoes to fill, and he stepped right in. You know, really his first ride in a classroom of his own. And I mean, he stepped up, got to know the kids, put together some amazing curriculum, great art background. But it was just great to see. Came in humble, working hard, and doing what he needed to do, and continuing to develop that art program at Iron Horse. And so that was great to see him last year. We had another teacher that was in 8th grade core. Mr. Stevens, he was another new teacher, phenomenal. Kids loved him, great. And then I just want to give a shout out to Miss Norris, who was my assistant principal. We talked about her quite a bit, but I am like a proud parent because she got hired as the new principal at the school. So,
let's go, leadership tree, baby, leadership tree.
That's succession plan. That's succession plan.
That's it. I mean, and it's funny because when I went to visit last week when we came back to work, and I was like, that's looking good on you, Principal Norris, and it was just like when your plan comes to place, it's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I love it. All right, so closing thoughts. Smitty, we're starting with you. What's your closing thoughts, man? Good episode. What's your closing thoughts?
My closing thoughts is I just want to go back, and Ball always talks about this. Like, we talk about this as free PD, for the people. This is really free PD for us as well, and like therapeutic. Like I said, I've had a hard time really adjusting and getting back into the groove of the school year, which is crazy because I'm coming off a school year where our school had the best data, principal of the year. And I couldn't find, that motivation. And, but like after sitting here today and kind of really reflecting on kind of the things that we've done and where we've been, like, I feel like I got that mojo, like, okay, I'm ready to rock this out. And then just seeing all my people in the comments, supporting, that's the one thing, as I thought about, my next move, stuff like that. The reason why, I stay at GMS because I got the dopest staff there is, they always riding for me. So, and the last thing I'm just going to say, I was listening to a podcast this Saturday and we didn't get to it, but all y'all school leaders out there, my main man Ankrum said this: your theme this school year or focus needs to be the year of the child. We need to put students back in the front of all of our decision making. So make sure that is the thing that you do this school year, is making sure you're putting students first at every opportunity.
Yeah, thanks for naming that. Ball.
It's great to be back with y'all. Hopefully, Ray, we find someone to replace you so you can get back and do your producer thing. Well, not that we don't love you.
Somebody with a prettier face.
Hey, I'm not gonna go there with, but I think it's a joy to be back with y'all again. I would say that, I'm excited for a new school year. I'm excited for a new adventure. And I think going back to our first topic, like, we're all where we're at for a reason. Believe in yourself, focus on developing yourself, find the folks that you need in order to keep you motivated and keep you going, because we're not in this thing alone. But I appreciate y'all. I appreciate everybody that's in the comments, those that are going to watch and listen to this later.
Yeah, that's what's up. My final thoughts are this, right? Sometimes, you meet people for a reason or for a season, right? And so, sometimes there's some seasonal change that needs to occur in order for us to get to the places that we need to be. But shout out to Tinley, shout out Trailblazer. We're going to be there in November. I'm looking forward to that. Ball, we might try to get you to Trailblazer too, because you didn't get to Indy the last time. If you're in the audience and you can make that happen, make it happen.
Let's do it.
All right.
Come on.
So yeah, folks, thanks for tuning in. Engage Podcast, hashtag the realest ed movement. We can keep that, right? HR said we can keep that.
Sure. Yeah. I copyrighted that, not that other person.
All right, got you. All right, HR said we can keep that. Realest ed movement in the building. We'll see y'all in 2 weeks. Peace.